Okay, so I have a few questions because we'll go into the slaughtered lamb, and I want to talk about the slaughtered lamb. First, what the fuck were David and Jack doing? They're in this thing with sheep, and then they're just in some town, some village they don't know. Like, what was their plan for the day? Where were they gonna stay for the night? Like,
I
you,
always just took it as like that typical like Kerouac-esque backpacking, or maybe they had some kind of like trail they were going on that was a roundabout way. Like maybe they wanted to see the Moors, but it was an inopportune time to go there.
well, just thinking about the timing of their trip. Like, they're walking, and they know it's gonna be night soon. So, I don't know if they're if
Yeah.
I don't know if they're just stupid. It's just well, because it's one of those things you don't think about. It's a movie logic thing. So, like, when you're watching the movie, you just go with it, but I actually stopped and thought
Mhm.
about it, and maybe it's coming from the perspective of having, like, a phone and all that stuff nowadays, and this was, the '80s,
Yeah.
so maybe back then you did just meander and get lost all the time. I can accept that. So they're joking around, and then they both walk into the Slaughtered Lamb, best movie bar of all time. If we could open a bar together, a theme bar in any city, I would definitely open the Slaughtered Lamb.
Yeah.
Pentagram on the wall and all. Okay, so a few things with this sequence. What the fuck is going on at this place? Who are these people?
I love they all feel like pod people like from Invasion of the Body
Yeah,
Snatchers.
they don't feel like
Which is
real.
great because like when you go to another country, that's probably how it feels interacting with the locals.
So they sit down and they're cold. It's like freezing outside is what's established, and they're wearing the red and the green, the iconic jackets.
Yeah.
And they're sitting in there, and people are in there just bantering, and they have the whole thing about like, do you have any food? And she's like, we don't have any food. And then he's like, do you have any tea? And she's like, I can make you tea. And everybody's just staring at them, like judging them, and then goes back to their banter.
Yeah.
And then some guy starts telling some weird joke about the Alamo. I still have no idea.
It's got one perfect shot of the guy spitting his beer,
Yeah.
and it makes me laugh every single time.
Well, so I guess these are the things that you want to discuss, right? So let's really break it down instead of like going in. Like, how aware do you think everyone in the bar is of the werewolf interactions in the town? How many werewolves have existed? Has there always been a werewolf, or is there just the one guy who was transformed into a werewolf? They're all aware of this, and like, you know what I mean? Like, it's never it's one of the things I
Yeah,
like. There's ambiguity, but
I agree.
but
I always took
what's
it.
going on with these townsfolk, these Alamo people and their werewolf
Yeah,
problem?
I always figured the townsfolk were like aware of the werewolf generationally. Like there had been a few, and it was like passed down like a folklore kind of thing, and a more traditional like movie would be like, oh, there's always been a werewolf or two around here, and we've been living on the land our whole lives, and our parents and our grandparents, and they just have learned not to intervene with it. They just get drunk instead.
Yeah, that's the thing. Does everyone just go hang out at the slaughtered lamb on a full moon? And it's like, all right, we all got to go get
Yeah.
pissed drunk so we don't get attacked by a fucking werewolf. And it's like, oh shit, 2 Americans. All right, you guys go out. Because the thing is, it's interesting. It's a scene. It's one of the laugh out loud scenes for me. Is when Griffin Dunne's like, "Hey, what's that star on the wall?" And
Yeah.
then they kick them out and send them out essentially to their deaths. Uh,
Real quick, we have to bring up the oh shit, what's it called? The fucking dartboard.
yeah.
When he asked that, the one guy, he's throwing darts the whole scene. He's like, I've never missed that dartboard in my
Oh
life.
yeah. I've never missed that dartboard in my life until today. He's like fucking pissed about it.
Yeah.
That's a great point. I forgot about that scene.
It
Yeah.
tarnished his reputation as a dart player in this bar.
No, there's some like asshole stiff lip like Brits in this, like the guy who gets attacked at the train station later on and stuff like that. Or
Oh yeah.
there's like characters in this where it's like, man, you
I
guys
think
are
that's what I like about the movie. It's an American going to this foreign place and just killing them.
it's about American interventionalism.
Yeah. It's just a metaphor for ugly Americans.
So I have another thing. Why don't Jack and I'm just saying this, two college guys, right? Like, let's say you and I go to
Mhm.
the slaughtered lamb. We're Jack and David. I'd get a
Yeah.
beer,
Yeah.
right? You would think, like, because even if they weren't 21, it didn't matter. It's in Europe, it wouldn't be law. So why don't they go to the bar and get two beers? Because you're in whiskey, even if you're trying to get warm, you think they'd be like, well, hey, let's just get
Yeah.
drunk with these locals, and then party at the
Like,
slaughtered lamb. And I think if they had done this, they probably would have avoided a werewolf attack.
that might be why they didn't do it.
Because Landis couldn't figure out. Well, because to me, maybe
Yeah.
the way to do it, there's two ways to write this, right? So there's the way he does it, which I think is questionable, and then the other way is they both get really drunk and then they
Then they
wander
leave.
out to the
Yeah.
moors, and then the people are like, "Shit, they're out there," and then that's when they all go out with the guns. That to me logically is what you would do in a screenwriting. But he did write this when he was 19, and he did no revisions to the script, so I'm thinking that might be what
I would
happened.
say also them not drinking and staying there long adds to the tension of the scene between them and the tenants of the slaughtered lamb. And them drinking would just be one more thing to add to this already very busy scene of them asking for the beer, ordering it, getting the beers, drinking it, abandoning it when they leave, or finishing the beers. It's just one more obstacle to complete this scene.
Yeah, I think maybe it might have been a victim of like editing too at the time. Like, now you could cut that. Like the
Yeah.
beer would set down, he would take a swig, and then the camera could cut to. And I just think back then you probably had to construct the scene in itself, and you couldn't think about we can show the passing of time very easily.
Yeah,
Like an
exactly.
Edgar Wright montage, like The World's
Yeah.
End. You could do that now, but in like 1980 when they shot this, that probably was a lot more difficult. Um, it just occurred to me though, right? Like, does they would get drunk and go out, or it's just a
Yeah,
weird
no, it makes sense.
it's just a weird scene to me that they go there. All of a sudden, everybody there is really tense about it. They just ask for some tea, and then it seems like
I guess tea's warm.
everybody's chilling, right? And then as soon as he brings up the star, everybody's like, "Nah, fuck this." Also, why do they have the star on the wall? Is that to
I
keep
was
the
gonna say,
werewolf out from the slaughtered lamb?
I guess so. That's that other witches
Yeah, do they worship
go out their
Satan? Well, that's
way.
part of the ambiguity. Is the werewolf a generational thing that's been passed down, or is this place in
Well, even
particular?
is this slaughtered lamb kind of bringing people to the werewolf?
Oh, I like that.
And the one
Okay.
guy who has the guilt about it and everything. It's kind of like the Howling, how they have that community and they lure people in through the doctor.
So the werewolf won't eat them, they have to feed the werewolf.
Exactly.
And that even the title of the bar too, it being the slaughtered lamb, you come there, you become one of the slaughtered lamb, maybe. A little bit of the
Yeah.
I think that makes sense. I think that's interesting. So it's just a bunch of psychopaths who try to trap American tourists and feed them to their local werewolf.
I think it's possible. I'm not going to say that's the intention, but
Oh, John Landis, we're not gonna get a John Landis interview. We might be able to get a Max Landis interview, but John
yeah, he
Land
won't stop emailing me about it.
Oh god, he's like making YouTube videos now again. They get like 1,000 views, and he's still talking like he's somebody, like he wasn't canceled, and like nobody cares. And I'm like, Max, bro,
It's
let
just I didn't even care he was canceled. Like I don't know what he was accused. He was just so far off my radar at that point. It's
uh
like, oh, people are mad at Max Landis. Okay.
well, yeah, that's the thing, was like it was the least shocking cancellation of them all. Like, wow, a Landis
Yeah.
did something bad. I'm gonna try as much as I can to get through this cast without bringing up the Twilight Zone incident. I'm
Yeah.
gonna try so hard. So, the next scene is when they got to the moors, and the werewolf attack. So they start hearing helicopter sounds in the distance, and they start running away. And then a helicopter comes down and cuts off Jack's head.
It's
Uh,
horrible.
yeah, it's a terrifying scene. Some
Do you
reason,
know in Twilight Zone they were gonna wrap up for the night and John said, "Hold on, we just have one more scene. All we have to do is land this helicopter." I'm sorry.
that's great. I would say some people defend him, but he seems to be the only one. It seems like everyone else is pretty much like, no, I'm pretty sure you killed those people. Okay, so they're walking on the moors and they're singing and shit. They're having a good old jolly time. They're all happy. Two American
Yeah.
guys. And then
They seem drunk in the scene, even to be honest. Like how they're singing together and all that.
yeah. No,
Going back to what you were saying,
yeah, they're drunk on the tea, the slaughtered lamb tea.
very strong tea.
And I'm
That
getting
could be
like
an interesting thing too if they were drugged at the Slaughterland with the tea or something. I like if there's a modern remake, I could see that happening.